In hindsight, I think my perimenopausal symptoms probably started in my late 30s, but I definitely started to recognize them for what they were probably in my early 40s. And how they began were pretty typical for most women, even if we don't recognize what's happening, in that at first I just started having a decreased capacity to manage stress combined with a lot of sleep issues. I was struggling to sleep as well as I used to. I couldn't fall asleep as well, couldn't stay asleep as well, and started having some night sweats, even though I didn't recognize it was hormone related at the time. I just thought, gosh, it's just hot in my room. What is going on? And I kept turning down the heater and turning down the heater to the point my husband's like, you're freezing me out of this bedroom. So, I didn't totally recognize what it was initially. But the first thing I did was, once I did recognize the stress component and the sleep component as being symptoms of low progesterone, I checked my progesterone levels, and sure enough, I had postmenopausal levels of progesterone at probably about 41, 42. So I got on some progesterone, and that helped immensely. Right away, I started sleeping considerably better. And of course, I didn't do any of these things in a vacuum. I didn't just apply hormones. I also started learning how to manage my stress better and improving my sleep hygiene. So there were more than one thing going on in how I managed these symptoms, but the progesterone helped immensely. It didn't help so much with the night sweats, maybe a little bit. And then kind of the next phase of my journey was recognizing that I was maybe a little bit more tired than I thought I was, a little bit decreasing libido, and again, didn't really think specifically perimenopause, also some increasing intra-abdominal fat. So, just kind of thinking, gosh, why is my body changing in all these ways? So I tested my testosterone, and that was low. So I got on a testosterone cream, which helped with some of those symptoms. Again, it didn't happen in a vacuum, so I started changing other lifestyle habits, started taking a closer look at some of the things that might be contributing to those symptoms besides. For example, especially with the intra-abdominal fat, now I recognize changing estrogen levels were influencing that, but also I was not balancing my macronutrients very well. I wasn't balancing my blood sugar very well. Even though I had a whole foods, mostly plant-based diet, it wasn't quite enough to balance my blood sugar in a way that would help with the increasing fluctuation of estrogen up and down, and plus that lower testosterone, which was probably making it more difficult for me to put on muscle mass and allowing me to lose that. Plus, with my plant-based diet, I had very low amount of protein. So I changed the way that I ate and also the way that I exercised. So I have always exercised quite a bit, but I realize now that a lot of the ways that I was exercising was primarily a sugar burning state, whereas I figured out how to exercise to improve my lean muscle mass and also burn more fat as fuel. So those were kind of the first two stages of my perimenopausal journey. And that happened pretty much in between 41, 42, 43, and fast forward to 45. And I am 45 now, and I've just got on estradiol. And so what prompted me to start estradiol was primarily that I really started to have a lot more sleep issues again, and it wasn't the same as before. I was still falling asleep fine and staying asleep through the night, but what started to happen more frequently is that I was getting a lot of night sweats. I would wake up so hot in the middle of the night, I had to get up just to go to the bathroom just so I could cool down. Also starting to recognize a little bit more emotional response, a little bit more irritability. And so now I'm so versed in menopause transition and how to help women. This learning process and being able to help other women has really helped me through this journey and recognizing what's happening. So I went to my provider and asked her if I could go ahead and start estradiol. And I did. I started just a couple of months ago. And for me, already my Night sweats have significantly decreased, so I'm sleeping through the night consistently much more. I wouldn't say they're gone altogether, so I do need some tweaking there, but now I'm taking an estradiol in the form of a patch, which is bioidentical. I am taking a topical testosterone cream that I get from a compounding pharmacy, and I'm also taking oral micronized progesterone. And altogether, you can see how they help with each constellation of symptoms. It's not just one size fits all, and it's not just hormones. We have to change the way we do things in peri and postmenopause to support our bodies in a new way. So I hope that hearing about my menopause transition helps you understand and recognize the changes that you might be facing too.